Okay, so that was the video. I think, sorry about the audio quality because there is some issues with this platform. But anyway, so you have seen that waste materials from slag and other things, definitely you can actually make it more sustainable. The other way of making concrete sustainable is, how to make the three methods of our the keywords: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So, what do you reduce, what do you reuse, and what do you recycle? So, and especially, it should be emphasized that as more and more concrete structures age, more and more demolished concrete will be produced, and if it cannot be recycled and reused, the deposition of the construction waste will cause another environmental problem. So again, a lot of buildings are getting old and then they get broken. So where do you dump the waste? Where do you, this is causing another environmental pollution. So we should have some way of recycling these aggregates. However, aggregates recycled from demolished concrete are usually more porous and weak. Hence, it is important to develop some technique to overcome the problem and ensure that the quality of concrete made of recycled. So this is the what we call a C&D, that is a construction and demolition waste. You might have seen in cities a lot of demolition work going on, so that it is generating a lot of waste. How do you use it? So reduce, reuse, recycle, recovery, and landfill. So in most of the renovations, 40% waste will come. In demolition, 50% is useful. New construction, 10% is useful. So let us see how this construction demolition waste means waste comprising of building materials, debris, and rubble resulting from construction, remodeling, renovation, repair, and demolition of any civilian institution. So that is what is you might have seen in cities a lot of demolition going on. These are debris. Where do you use it? So how do you use it is the issue. And then sand mining. We do a lot of sand mining from the rivers and all that. And that is also causing a lot of sustainability problems and a lot of concerns raised. So we have to find replacement for sand. So luckily, so what does C&D waste consist of? It consists of concrete. It consists of bricks. It consists of timber. It consists of sanitary ware. It consists of glass, steel, and plastic. So that is how these things can be reused. So what to do once you got so much waste? First, segregate, and then you do screening, then separation. A lot of tools and techniques have come. So this is a recycled sand, and this is a good replacement of the natural sand. So you can use this for construction, and you will find that by using this sand, you are getting almost the same strength as the concrete. So you are saving the natural sand because if you do go on eroding and using the sand, you are spoiling the river beds and other things. So sand is a issue which most countries face. Then we have what we call as sorting. There are chemical ways of screening and all that. And the advantages are that it will conserve depleting natural resources. So we are saving the environment, which is an issue regarding sustainability. The use of construction waste, production from environment, economical, and create additional business opportunities. And many times these they dump it in the open lands, and you're spoiling the agricultural lands, dumping it with waste. You're avoiding excess landfill. So this is the problem that we face. So how do you reuse? So deconstruction means a planned selective demolition. So when you demolish, you do it selective in which salvage, reuse, and recycle of the demolished structure is maximum. That is one thing. So you see, these are the aggregates that has been obtained from the. They are saying a lot of natural aggregates, and they actually can process it, and it's got very good properties. Even the pollution control board has come out with guidelines, and now everything is standardized. So the guidelines recommend pollution mitigation measures in operation of construction and demolition dump sites, waste. So a lot of guidelines, so you can reuse it safely and consistently. Some tests have also been done, and the scientific utilization of this is also in progress. So one way to make concrete sustainable is to utilize industry waste. Like just now in the cement, they said the fly ash, the slag coming from steel industry is a waste. In coal plants, a lot of waste is generated after coal is burned. What to do to waste? Because it is creating environment pollution. Make use of it, make it sustainable, put it in the concrete, and then you get better concrete than what is existing. So currently, examples of some industries are blast furnace slag, fly ash, limestone powder, silica fume, rice husk ash. Most of them are there. We have to recycle it. That is, the concrete industry also recycles. That means the waste products of the electrical and steel industries are substitutes for virgin raw materials of concrete industries, thereby reducing the environmental impact of both. Moreover, these replacing SCMs, what we call as SCMs, SCM is nothing but currently supplementary cementitious materials. So these are the one which actually replace instead of cement. Because when you manufacture cement, you are using a lot of carbon, generating a lot of carbon dioxide. So avoid cement. Make use of this waste from the industry. And these waste also contain reactive silica that is very good, can react with CH and also form secondary compounds. And due to the incorporation of these SCMs into concrete, the structure of concrete at the nanometer and micrometer levels will be more. So why not use regular cement? Because it is the most consumed commodity in the world after water. Cement, if you realize, is the most consumed everywhere in the world. It is also the most energy intensive material, and cement production leads to high carbon dioxide emission. So 1 ton of carbon dioxide produced for every 1 ton of cement, and it is produced by calcination of cement, limestone and burning. So there are some other things also like low energy and low carbon dioxide binders. Like I told you, China has come out with a very new product which is very sustainable. But we are also a lot of research is going on. In India, the geopolymer concrete has become very famous. So one system along this line is alkaline activated cement, in which geopolymer and alkaline activated slags are two good examples. So if you see the energy generated carbon dioxide, geopolymers is very less compared to the regular cement. So why should we use geopolymer? Because it reduces the OPC, which leads to carbon dioxide consumption. It utilizes the waste material from industries such as fly ash, silica fume, GGBS, protect water bodies from contamination due to fly ash disposal, conserves acres of land that would have been used for coal consumption, product disposal, and produces a more durable infrastructure. So in fact, geopolymer concrete is a sustainable material because it is eco-friendly. It uses as a replacement of it replaces cement concrete. In geopolymer concrete, cement is not used as a binding material. Fly ash, silica fume, or CGBS along with is used as binders. So let us see the reaction. So basically, what is geopolymer? I'm using the word geopolymer concrete so much. So it is nothing but fly ash plus fine aggregate plus coarse aggregate plus alkali activator. So you get a geopolymer. How do you manufacture it? So this is the fly ash waste that is coming from the industry or steel plant or power. And this is the aggregate, which is normally either you can use it recycled or also you can use it from rocks, existing rocks. See, many people even are now objecting to breaking rocks, because rock is also a important thing. And then sand also can be available from local sun, or you can use recycled sand. And then sodium hydroxide and sodium silicate. And then you find you have to process it slightly so that it fits the concrete bill. And you see this is how the constitution looks like. The cement, normal cement is 65, whereas this will be 40. So you are reducing the calcium oxide, you are reducing the increasing the silicon, which is very good for strength. Aluminum oxide increasing. So your the calcium oxide is the one which is creating the problem from sustainability point of view, and you have reduced from 65 to 40. So much reduction is there, so much advantage is there, and it has all the benefits like a concrete. In fact, it is so good that it is almost equal as concrete. In fact, you can see the uh, we can do a lot of tests. It increases the compressive strength, it increases the flexural strength. So let us see some examples when you do the stress in the labs. You find that all these things, when you're doing the testing, it is very good in terms of compressive strength, always higher compared to others. Early strength may be slightly low, but long term strength is more. And then the shrinkage is, you see, compressive strength is increased with increasing fly ash content, and it is also workability is good, compressive strength is also good, shrinkage is good. Many benefits are there in using this geopolymer concrete, which is actually very, very helpful for making concrete sustainable. In fact, if you see the global warming because of OPC, this is 100, then global warming because of geopolymer is only 20. Imagine, so you are reducing the carbon dioxide by 80%, which is a big achievement as far as any engineer is concerned, because we have to sustain the future for our future generation. Not only that, the footprint, the ecological footprint is also reduced. So, actual production of cement is responsible for the total carbon dioxide production in the country, in the whole globe. Whereas geopolymer, which is made of waste materials like fly ash, not only has a small carbon footprint, but also reduce the footprint of other industries, namely coal-fired power plant. So everything it is leading to advantage. So the greenhouse effect is reduced, the earth is more clean, you are saving the environment, the plants are safe. You see here the cement manufacturer, how much smoke is generated, you are polluting the environment. Whereas in normal fly ash environment, you don't generate so much of waste. Not only that, the energy consumption for cement is very high, whereas for this, you don't, because it's already processed, it's already done a lot of processing. So the advantage is there. So you also save in terms of energy consumption as far as cement is. Not only that, you're utilizing the waste. Otherwise, these waste have to be done in the lakes or the lands, which will spoil that. So you're reutilizing the waste for construction. So that is how you are saving a lot of coal and other natural things. Not only that, it is going to save landfills, 40 million tons to the landfill. So everywhere, this concrete is leading to sustainability, and the potential risk of fly ash storage, like the lakes and all that, is totally reduced. The environment is clean, and you are making the environment safe for the future. So it has got a lot of applications. Also, don't think that because it is coming from waste, it is not useful. It is got a lot of application. In fact, geopolymer concrete beam is something which has been used for many projects. Not only that, high-rises building are also coming. We are building dams with that, beautiful dams and things. And in future, you can have many dams and then pavement, paver blocks, and then flexible concrete, which is very helpful for bridges and other things to reduce the impact and all that. So the advantages that has now come out with this sustainable materials, you got high compressive strength, high tensile strength, low creep, low strength. These are all properties that are desirable. See, I'm using a waste material and I'm getting all the plus point. So then something which if we don't do it, we are foolish. We should make use of this waste material for making concrete. And also, luckily, a lot of Indian codes of practice have now come, and they are advocating the use of these type of cements for construction. Highly durable, even, and it is also highly fireproof. So I would like to conclude because given the speakers are given only 30 minutes, so I thought and then the other speaker will be there, then we can have question answer. So concrete can be made more sustainable by using less energy in production and producing less carbon dioxide. So I've shown you how you can produce less carbon dioxide by making use of the waste from the industries, number one. And then you can use less energy because you don't have to do so much burning. You don't have to burn limestone. So again, fire use less. Usually, carbon dioxide is present in cement and aggregate, and suitable replacement has been found now. So cheaper, efficient, and better performing sustainable materials are now available. Luckily, even the steel industry waste is a very good cement for very good property. And then it should be emphasized that as more and more concrete structures are aging, more and more demolished concrete will be produced. So we have to make use of ideas how to recycle it, whether to wash it, recycle the aggregate, recycle for reusing. This way, we will be able to totally sustain the concrete structure as a whole. And you will be happy to note that already many of the government buildings are using construction and demolition waste, and CPWD has been one of the pioneers in using this construction and demolition. They have come out with a manual, very interesting manual and very useful manual. So, world is progressing, we are progressing, but the need is to make our society sustainable for all of us. If you don't make it sustainable, then you are actually spoiled. So, with this, I would like to conclude and hand over the mic to the next speaker. So, I'm just stop sharing my contact. I think the questions will take it. So thank you. I'll just stop.
Thank you.
1 minute. How do I stop share? 1 minute. Yeah. So hand out the mic to the.
Thank you so much, Dr. N.V. Ramana Rao, sir, the Director of NIT Warangal. You have made this presentation of the waste management in a very simple way that anybody can follow that. And also you are telling about the highest technological details also. I'm sure that during the question answering sections, the participants will be able to bring up more questions and you'll be able to answer. And also you clearly demonstrated the use on the recycling of the building waste material, industrial material, and also the geopolymer concrete, which has been used for high-rise buildings, dams, bridges, and all, whereby the reduction of carbon footprints are reduced, earths and plants are more safe, and with this, the contribution of civil engineers is vital for the human beings. And also the properties like high compressive strength, high tensile strength, low creep, all these technical details are also you shared with us. So it is really an outstanding presentations, and thank you very much for giving an insight into this. And I request all the participants to stay online for the second speaker so that all the question and answers we will take at the end of the presentations. And once again, on behalf of all the audience, participants, panel members, MBITS ASAP, thank you very much for Ramana Raso. We'll come back to you for the panel discussions. And over to Manju George for introducing our next keynote speaker from Hyderabad, NNSS Rao sir, the Chief Engineer of Central PWD. Welcome, sir, to this program. Over to Manju for introducing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sojas. Let me introduce our next keynote speaker, Dr. NNSS Rao, Chief Engineer, CPWD Hyderabad, who is a fluent chief engineer offering 30 years of experience and executing direct, preventive, and corrective maintenance. He has in-depth knowledge of structural designs, construction technologies, and new system installations combined with business-oriented perspective. Also, he is familiar with all facets of design, construction, and implementation. He has done his ME in structural engineering at IISc Bangalore, and he has been a life member of Indian Building Council. Engineer NNSS Rao started his career as a structural designer and introduced many path-breaking methodologies to deliver structural drawings efficiently in shortest possible time. In the 30 years career at CPWD, he worked as assistant executive engineer in Kolkata, as executive engineer in Visakhapatnam, Bangalore, and Hyderabad, as superintending engineer in Calicut, and currently posted as Hyderabad as Chief Engineer, South Zone through CPWD. He worked closely with client departments and internal sourcing to establish relationships and educate the client departments about the need of infrastructure development for a better nation. And with various client lists such as paramilitary forces, intelligence bureaus, academics, medical, educational, marine, and agricultural institutes, income tax, state government related projects, etc., with utmost diligence and efficiency. Honor inviting you to the session. Over to you, Dr. NNSS Rao, sir.
Thank you very much. It was an enlightening session from Dr. Ramarao sir, NIT Director. He has shown the perspective of research side, whereas I wanted to present my presentation on the industrial side, that is end user side. In fact, in CPWD, we are constructing many buildings for various clients. The client requirement is different. The moment I said various clients, the client requirement is different. If I look at the police forces, the requirement is different. If I look at the education institutes, the requirement is different. If I look at the transport department, the requirement is different. Likewise, if I look at the regular office structures and building structures like GPRAs, GPOAs, the requirement is entirely different. Now, sustainable development, every one of us know to the maximum extent, and we understood in our day. In the sense, in a nutshell, we have to reduce the usage or optimize the usage of natural resources. We have to preserve the material for the future generations. At the same time, we have to use them effectively. The moment I am saying using effectively, locally available material, if you use, it is most effective. Dr. Ramarao sir has very specifically said, recycle, reuse, and reduce. Cost reduction of material is one of the very important aspects. That's we are practicing. In the sense, designing the structures in a most economical way. That is, in the sense, we don't want to design a bulky structures. We want to design all these structures, slim sections. In this sense, if I'm using concrete now as a polymer concrete, it is not. It is catching up now. As on date, the industry is using only the cement concrete, ready mix concrete, whatever it may be, using either PPC or OPC. Whereas in CPWD, we are using the OPC as well as PPC. But we are trying to supplement our concretes with 30% of fly ash or 25% of fly ash, which is an industrial waste, which sets in ecological system in this sense. Suppose I am planning a structure. At the time of planning itself, we are assessing what are the quantities of material going into it, what kind of material going into it. And at the same time, we have to understand the requirement of my client. In this sense, as I initially started, we are working for various clients like various clients I already emphasized. Their requirement will be something different. We are selectively using the material. Suppose at the my sustainability of our structure starts at planning stage, building designs, project execution, and we have to look at the cost efficiency also. Now, in present day scenario, we are trying to use high energy consuming materials without applying our mind. Why I am saying is without applying our mind? Because my neighbor is using a huge glass. Yeah, that structure is an iconic structure. So why can't I use glass? But you are not trying to understand what is the requirement of that much glass into your building. we are in arid and semi-arid region where your sunlight is very high. You will get almost 9 months of good sunlight. And using a envelope with glass is not at all a sustainable system in this sense. You are using glass, thereby you are using most important natural material like silicon. At the same time, you are trying to allow more heat to ingress into the building. At the same time, once you are inside, you have to use or you have to cool your rooms comfort levels, thermal comfort levels. Once you are allowing heat to come in, at the same time, you are using more energy for cooling it. Is it required? So there, the system of design goes. As per your codes, maybe I am referring only building codes or Indian codes. 15-20% opening would be sufficient. Why do you make wall totally with glass? If you reduce the glass, you can reduce the ingress of heat, and thereby you can reduce the energy consumption. Next point I wanted to emphasize: the policies of government. Many policies are there. Selection of right project. It is in AAC journals they have given two of the policies, and on dams they have given policies, and likewise coastal regulation they have given policies. Then disaster management they have given policies. Then diversity. One more important thing we are trying to do, we are not trying to diversify ourselves. Whereas building, I'm discussing only for urban development. I'm not discussing about any ports or anything because the time is very short and I may not be able to cover all those things. Maybe as a point I will cover some of the projects what we have taken up. Now recently, some of the projects have come up. Now they wanted, with the end user have stated certain materials. I want only this material to be used. We as a advisor to Government of India, we have advised them not to use this material for one reason. But material is very sustainable material, like a natural stone. But that material is available in northern part of India, whereas my project in southernmost part of India. Now transport, excavation, processing, and transport is one of the very important aspects, which is adding to the carbon. That is the reason we have suggested avail local available material. Once you avail local available material, we can reduce the transport. At the same time, now I'm looking at 2 or more points of it. Well, around renewable materials or reusing of dismantled materials. Like our Roundhouse was already specifically told, a lot of road structures are there. Our structures are almost 60-70 years old. Now at the time, most of the structures were load bearing structures. And the life of the structure was were about 50 to 60 years design. Now most of the structures have given up their life. Now what do you do with that material? That material, what we are trying to do, where we are trying to segregate into 2 systems. One, where sand is required, we are trying to segregate sand and it can be directly used into the material, construction material in the structural number. Whereas aggregates we are using in the structural numbers. The second point we are trying to say, where you cannot use some material structurally, we are trying to make use of those material in the pavements. In the sense where non-structural numbers are required, we are trying to use them. Because 90 or 80% of the material which is retrieved from the dismantled structures, we are trying to do. Now we are trying to do an impact study also when we are taking up a new project. Like when we were taking up a jetty structures near Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Camp Big specifically. Lot of species are there. without knowing the requirement or without knowing the species available there. If you construct a jetty or if you construct a coastal structure very near, you are trying to disturb the very rare species of very rare species. For that matter, we are conducting a environmental impact study very specific. Once we are through with the environmental impact study and it is giving a favorable results for us, then we are taking up that project. Without taking up the project that way, we are once again, as earlier speaker and as we know, we are trying to spoil the species, we are trying to spoil the nature. CPWD as a whole, we are not doing that. We are, as a team, architects, engineers, electrical, civil, all put together. We are working as a team and we are trying to minimize the energy consumption. One is use less. Second one is renewable energy, whatever available, use the renewable energy so that natural resources are safe. Every one of us know in India, other than your nuclear power, we are using the coal-based power maximum. Once you are using coal-based power maximum, if you are using without proper designs, we are burning more coal, and thereby we are producing more waste. And it can go, you cannot use it anywhere except some part of, once again, industry and landfills. Once you are using landfills, we are once again breaking the ecosystem. You know why I am saying breaking the ecosystem. Once you are filling the lands, like foundation fire, what we are thinking of, the permeability of rainwater seeping into the ground reduces. Once you are reducing that, the building point goes down. Once your building point is going down, growth of vegetation will be reduced. For that reason, try to reduce usage of energy or use less consuming material. Now I can tell one more important thing. Earlier we used to use wood as a primary item in construction industry. Now in 1993, there was a law came into picture, use less wood or use more wood. In this sense, we were thinking alternative. Only deforestation we should not do. Now recently it has been reviewed. Only one item, whatever material is available in the ground or a natural material, you cannot reproduce. Whereas only one wood you can reproduce. Take out the sample or take out the tree. Then sample in place of one tree, sample 10 or 15 plants, so it grows in 10 years or 12 years or maybe 15 years. We have to design our system of usage in such a way that cycling is not affected much. Now, we are, as a supplement, we are trying to use wood. There is aluminum. It's high consuming material once again. Now, glass is high consuming material, a high energy consuming material. If you avoid these two, most of these structures, you can reduce energy consumption in that structure. We are tuned up by 2-7%. One more important point I want to tell. Where we are using our, where we are constructing our building, we are trying to tap maximum solar power, rooftop solar power. And there is a guideline given for CPWD, at least 1%, has to go, so that is the reason we are trying to use, or we are less energy by using LED fitting, by using, by reducing the volume of the, what is called, volume of the rooms, whatever you are trying to say, are reducing the heights, and we are properly designing the structures. Now, one important thing we are trying to say, brick aggregate and stone aggregate, what we are trying to reuse, and we are expanding the structures. We are sending it to the R&D waste recycling centers. From there, once again, we are taking that. And one more important thing, where we are trying to dismantle some structures. Wherever useful material is there for reuse, we are stipulating in our projects, and we are trying to reuse the material as a in toto and as is. In the sense, suppose retaining structures are there with RR. Earlier, we used to do, there is no concrete structure, there is no reinforced concrete structures in earlier the old days. Now, the retaining structure is there with RR masonry, a big RR masonry. Available for it. Once dismantled, it is almost 60% stone I can retrieve. Once I am using it, I can set for recycling plant. I can make two products of it. One is aggregate of 20 mm, aggregate of 10 mm, aggregate 40 mm. And second one, we can make sand also. In the sense, robo sand is earlier we were thinking our numbers are also very specific. It is a crushed sand. Now the properties of crushed sand, it is established, and we are using it in our construction systems. Robo sand we are allowed. Even plastic you can give by sieving properly and with a well ventilation. The second point, if there are some bigger slabs are there, bigger stones are, we are trying to use the same stone even for the retaining structure wherever you can, economically you can construct. Means you are reducing the project cost. One of the important aspect is project cost. The project cost reduction, you are trying to reduce the footprint. At the same time, green gases you can reduce. At the same time, we are saving the material of future generation. That means don't use a material which is far off from your site. Try to utilize some material as maximum as possible, which is locally available, or maybe in a near vicinity available. Now, geopolymers is one of the wonderful alternatives, even we are working on it. Then one more is one more important thing we are trying to see. Diversity. Now, what we are trying to do, we are trying to intensify the density. In the sense, suppose when quality is getting developed, we are trying to add on many buildings in that area. No, you have to decentralize the system. Qualities have to be separated. Why qualities need to be separated? One very important thing, one is material, low consumption of material. Second one, low consumption of energy and use renewable energy. The third very important fact is water. Water is a scarce commodity nowadays. We are trying to use water as less as possible by using our gauges. In the sense, nowadays many taps are coming, many taps are coming. With maybe 30% usage, you are getting the same. Maybe hardly 5 to 10% expensive, but you are using it. You are saving the natural. Now, one more important thing, at the planning stage itself, we are trying to use double plumbing system. Why double plumbing system is required for? Double plumbing system is required. One is for fresh water. The second one is treated water. Once it is going to the washrooms, once it's going to the process, you are throwing it out. Or a small quality or small campus, maybe police campus, we need almost 10 lakh liters of water every day, 10 to 15 lakh liters of water. What to do with the 10 lakh used water? Maybe 80% is going as a waste. Okay. 15-20% is consumed there, effectively utilized. Remaining entire thing is going as a waste. Why can't we utilize that water? Utility of water is most important thing. Now, what we are trying to do? We are trying to construct STPs, BTPs, or in the maybe ambiguous technology, SPR technology, or electrolyte technology, many technologies are now. Now we are trying to reduce the BOD levels. Now from 350 BOD or 400 BOD or maybe 250 BOD. We are trying to reduce the BOD levels by treating the water for various purposes. That is, one is for using as a flushing, using the same water for flushing. That means double plumbing is required. You cannot mix once again fresh water to this water because BOD of treated water will be in the order of maybe 8 to 10 BOD. So you cannot use it directly without any secondary tertiary treatment. Now we are trying to use a double plumbing system and we are trying to use it for flushing. Second important thing, if it is in the urban annular, we are trying to use it for chillers. Maybe for office building, the chiller requirement maybe in the order of 3 to 4 lakhs of water is required daily for cooling the buildings, for water chillers. So there my BOD level, even if it is 2 or even if it is 5, sufficient with this treatment. So there we are trying to use, so that we are trying to reduce the fresh water to that level. Plumbing, double plumbing and maybe flushing system we are trying to use to the tune of maybe 30%. It is not a small sum. The third usage of this one, maybe you are having a big campus of maybe 200 acres. Where a lot of vegetation is there, otherwise you cannot sustain your issues. For that work, lot of water is required. Once water is required, where fresh water you cannot use because that much water is not available. Even municipal authorities may not be able to supply that much water. What do you have to do? You have to generate on your own. Maybe bores, you want to dig bores and you can draw water, which is not a good solution. Whatever available in hand, why can't you reuse it, reutilize it? So for that, first we are using for chillers. First we are using for flushing. Second we are using for chillers. Third we are using for gardening. Fourth, if further water, any surface water is there, we are trying to use treat and we are trying to recharge the soil. It is a soil. Our earth is one of the best. Fertile, I can say. With recharging, you are maintaining the melting points. You are maintaining the water levels in the ground. Thereby, even in a natural cycle, your trees grows. In a natural cycle, your ecosystem will be balanced. And now I have taken 2 aspects because it's a vast subject we may not be able to discuss in given half an hour time, at least maybe close to my closing time. Water conservation, energy conservation. These 2 aspects are very important when for sustainable growth of any building. One more important thing I want to tell is the connectivity. Your campus are not well connected to the urban system. Is of no use because you are wasting a lot of fuel on transport. It has to be in close vicinity, but at the same time, it has to be well designed to sustain and to reduce carbon sustain. And one more important thing, you have to reduce the usage of material. Don't design bulky structures. Design slim structures and use geopolymers where new technologies have come out. Use less energy consuming material and try to save our material for the future generation. This I'm concluding myself with this. With this, I am trying to conclude. Now the major aspects: useless, recycle, and renew. Wherever renew the material, wherever required. And one more triple or whatever our Ramadas sir has very specifically given. Reduce, recycle, reuse and recycle. We are trying to follow this in CPW. And with this, we can sustain our construction and we can leave the material, natural material level of future generation. One more thing. we have to look at the age of material in such a way that you have to design the building in such a way that your design lifespan. Some of the buildings you require only for 5 years. Design building for 5 years and with a recyclability. Some buildings you require maybe for 20 years. You design building for 20 years. Why do you design for 100 years using all good materials? And if you want to design certain buildings like Parliament Hall, you have to design for 200 years or 150 years. You have to give material in such a way that is sustainable for that many long years. With the start, once again I tell, try to minimize the natural resources like water and energy and natural material for the building construction. And we can leave the material for future generation. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer NNSS Rao sir, the Chief Engineer sir. Your wide experience of for more than 30 years was shared with us. It was really remarkable. And that was also in line with the previous presentation of Dr. N.V. Ramana Rao sir, how you are practically doing in various projects and the challenges were well demonstrated. I think now we can go for the questions. I request all the participants to raise the questions through the chat box to the panelists. Meanwhile, I think we will go to Professor Jayakumar sir or Dr. Venkat Barla sir for maybe 1 or 2 minutes comments. Professor Jayakumar sir.
Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Two really very good talks this morning. One from an academician, consultant, expert. Other one is an very experienced field engineer. In fact, I've seen both their work quite closely. Very relevant talk, very relevant to the topic that you have chosen. Okay, I do not have much comments on this because I was just engrossed in their listening to them. Okay, I think we can ask the audience to raise the questions. I think Sojan, your audio is muted.
Oh, thank you, sir. Okay, just to avoid the disturbance, I just muted. So I requesting the audience to ask the questions or raise your hands so that we will take from the panel members directly. I think Manchu, you can go for the first question.
Okay, sir, thank you. The first question is IS code for mixed design standards for geopolymer concrete available? If not, how can we progress at least for research work?
Please repeat the question again, once again.
I'll repeat the question, sir. This question is to Dr. N.V. Ramana Rao, sir. Is IS code for mixed design standards for geopolymer concrete available? If not, how can we progress at least for research work?
See, there is a IS for IS 10262. So in that they allow the use of cementitious materials like fly ash and other things. So it is available. The procedures are same. You have to do the testing and the sense to be satisfied. So it is available. Not only that, there are several codes available. What are the chemical admixtures? What are the cementitious materials used? IS code is very well advanced. And not only that, we have international codes like ASTM. We have ACI codes. And there are well laid down established procedures for mixed design. Apart from that, a lot of special handbooks have come, a lot of literature has come in the country available. So people are confidently able to design and use with confidence. And for everything, there is a testing mechanism. And once you test it thoroughly, obviously it is going to solve all your problems.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The next question is geopolymer concrete available in the local market, and whether it is possible to gain 150 MPa for fiber concrete?
See, most of the ready concrete people, is concrete suppliers, they want to reduce the cost of the concrete. They replace 35%, 40% with fly ash or with cement slag, and so they are doing it. Yeah, it is available, readily available, and these are all well documented.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The next question is, what is the state of art of geopolymer concrete? Is recycled aggregates can be used in geopolymer concrete, and how important GPC in India, and which type projects currently using GPC?
You want to use NS Rao will answer and then, shall I answer or you will?
Sir, you can answer, sir.
Okay. So, recycle aggregate because of construction demolition waste has been, and I'm happy to inform today has come out with a document wherein, but all requires a lot of cleaning, lot of processing, though not highly energy consumed, but it serves many purposes. Like, you get steel out of it, which can be salvaged and you can sell it or reuse it at the unimportant things. The aggregates are there, sand is there, and the strengths you can go all as high as M40 or M50. So, you need a processing industry, and I think big cities are having processing. Maybe small towns do not have these processing industries, but yes, you can use this for construction.
Okay, sir. The next question is, can regulations incorporated in
Sir, can I add to this answer once again? Small addition.
okay, sir.
Can I please add? Yeah. Here nowadays can become a big entrepreneurial activity. In the sense, it is a big lucrative business if you use this recycling material. Nowadays, sand is not available free, but there is a ban on sand. So now, if you use this recyclable material in the sense, you are sending for processing after dismantling. Sand is also collected, which is a high cost material. At a low cost, you can process this dismantled material and you can produce sand, and it can become a lucrative business. So it can promote business also nowadays. So that is the reason we have to promote this kind of recycling of old material, recycling of old material to retrieve sand as well as aggregates. So this is I'm trying to add this.
The next question is, can regulations incorporated in national building codes, state codes, preventing more harmful materials, practices, etc., related to concrete constructions?
See, National Building Code is a document which is prepared by eminent academicians, field engineers, and other things. So there are only good practices laid down. It is the duty of every engineer who is in the field. There's a lot of disturbance. I think if some people mute their audios, it will be more clarity. So if the organizers can mute, then only those who. So what I'm saying is, this National Building Code is a document which actually is prepared by a lot of experienced people. So this document contains all the good practices. The bad practices, yes, we should not do the bad practices as we know, but it is going to create problem for everybody.
Peter, the next question is, how do we promote GPC of conventional building material? Still, we are using OPC as the major construction material.
You may not be knowing now, many cement companies also have realized the importance of PPC, and they have priced the PPC more than the OPC. And also, I would like to share an experience. Earlier, these thermal plants and cement plants, they were giving free of cost this fly ash. Please take away, please take away. Now they are charging because they have realized that this when added to concrete, will increase the durability, will increase its fire resistance, will reduce its permeability. So it's a win-win situation all the way. Therefore, it has got some value. And now the cement, especially plants which are generating these waste products, are charging for giving away these fly ash.
Okay, sir. The next question is centralized prefabrication units with strong, competent design wings with sustainable guidelines at national, state, and private sector. Can we ensure it?
Can we?
Can we ensure this one?
Yeah, see, how do you ensure quality? You have to ensure quality by proper testing mechanism, proper sampling, by proper procedures. So yes, without sampling, without validation, don't use any concrete. Even the regular concrete, when you are using in construction or anything, you have a sampling criteria, sample it, test it, then only you will be able to come out with some results which is accepted or not accepted.
Okay, sir. The next question is regarding the use and viability of recycled plastics and asphalt for replacing cement in roads and others. What is your opinion?
Yes, plastics have been used. There are a lot of experiments being done, and they have been used for roads because plastic has a fiber type of properties. So you see that there will the shrinkage cracks will be reduced. So it is desirable. But what is important is how do you grade the plastic so that it mixes well with the concrete mix. It doesn't form a separation layer. So that is how we have to handle this concrete.
Okay, another question is did geopolymer can have strength as high as RCC?
So what is that?
I'll repeat the question. Did geopolymer concrete can have strength as high as RCC?
RCC is saying yes, you can have almost up to M80 grade. In fact, sometimes you can use slightly more also. But only thing is, the procedure that you mix, the way you compact the amount of water, when you do the mix design, you can design it for M100 also, up to 100 newtons per mm square. So it all depends on the MPa. So that is how you can get huge strength, definitely. See, it has been used for dam, it has been used for high-rise buildings, not in this country, but here. Slowly, any new technology change, especially in civil engineering, is slow. You don't adopt overnight. Like in electronics, what is today, it becomes obsolete tomorrow. But in civil engineering, because the way things don't change so fast. But yes, I'm telling you, the future is only for this geopolymer concrete.
So, what about the waterproofing property of geopolymer concrete?
See, if you measure the permeability of a geopolymer concrete with ordinary concrete, you find that geopolymer concrete is more resistant to permeability. That means it will allow less water to permeate. Therefore, the waterproofing quality of geopolymer is superior to the regular OPC cement.
Okay, sir. OPC, how durable than OPC? What is the lifetime of OPC structure?
That is the beauty of it. Because of this composition, always geopolymer is more durable. If you do studies under, you know how to calculate durable studies. That is, you put acid and all that. You realize that that acid will not damage a geopolymer concrete, whereas it will damage a ordinary cement Portland concrete. So therefore, it is definitely more durable, and it has been used successfully in harsh environments, and it has the future for it.
Another question is, shall we use crusher dust for GPC instead of river sand?
Yes, see, crusher dust can be used, but only thing it has to satisfy the properties of IS 383. That means the properties are like that you have to satisfy the grain size. It has to pass through certain 4.75 mm. It should be graded. So all these properties, yes, it has been successfully used as much as possible.
Okay, sir. As of now, this much question, sir. Over to you, Dr. Sojan, sir.
Yeah, over to Barla sir for your observations and final comments, sir. Barla sir. I think he's having some network issues. That's what he's showing. Any final remarks, sir? NSS Rao, sir?
Am I audible, Dr. Sojan?
Yeah. Venkat Barla, sir, we are audible.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Raman Rao, sir, Director NIT Warangal, and thank you, Dr. NNSS Rao Garu, Chief Engineer, WD. It's a wonderful experience to listen to your talks. Both the talks have been of quality, and I've been closely going through the point by point. Particularly fascinating is the geopolymer concept that you have highlighted, it's used, and also the other materials and ideas given by Rao Garu, extremely different. And two takeaways that I made is the geopolymers need to be commercialized in a big way as a replacement. I still want to know why, for so many years, decades, the geopolymers is not yet replacing cement in a big way. In still we see national highway construction widespread cement package. So maybe we large scale commercialization of the polymers, and also the recycled plastics, at least in laying of the roads and other applications. The beautiful answer you had given, sir, and we should work towards large scale commercialization of the recycled plastic in also in supplementing or replacing for highways and roads and other applications. It's a beautiful. We feel quite enriched and learned quite a lot in these two subjects. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, over to NNSS Rao, sir, for your concluding remarks, if any.
Thank you, sir. It is a learning experience for me from Dr. Ramrao sir and all the questions what we have received here. One point Ramrao sir was very specifically telling here, use of recycled plastic material. As a whole, you cannot use recycled plastic material just like that. You have dismantled, you cannot use it. You have to process it. Process like a fiber once again, where it can be remixed. In the sense, fibers, wherever fiber improves already bonds, we are using a steel fiber. It is a processed steel once again. That means you are having a binding properties, or you are having a bond properties between concretes or polymers, whatever we are trying to use. You have to process it, and you have to use it in roads or in pavements. Then it will be more effective. Whereas we are trying to use these recycled materials on pavements only after processing, after grading. It is called grading. After grading, we are trying to. So with this, thank you very much for giving an opportunity for me, for sharing the ideas and hearing the eminent speakers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, over to Shaini Varghese, madam, our head of department, for your any remarks and observations, please.
Both
Shaini
sessions
Varghese.
were very interesting, and we got an insight in the sustainable materials as well as the methods used for sustainable construction. Thank you, Dr. Ramana Rao, sir, Director, NIT, and Chief Engineer, NNSS Rao, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
And Professor K.V. Jayakumar, sir, for your concluding remarks, sir, before we close. Professor Jayakumar, sir, for any remarks.
I really don't have to say anything today because two good speakers talks with a lot of good contents, very experienced speakers, and I think that's it. The audience have gained a lot. Right?
Okay, I think there is no further questions, and I believe that we will go forward. Once again, giving our sincere appreciation for attending this international webinar on role of civil engineers for sustainable development, which was inaugurated by Dr. K.V. Jayakumar sir, civil engineering professor from NIT Warangal, on behalf of all the audience participants, MBITS and ASAP. So thank you very much, sir, for being with us. And also on the first day, Dr. Nitin Kumar Tripathi, the professor from Remote Sensing and Geographic Information Systems, Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand, was the keynote speaker. Thank you very much for your participation and we enlightened us. And the second day, we had two keynote speakers, one from industry and other from academia. Engineer Sindhiti Anandaraman, Managing Director, Geodesic Techniques Private Limited, Bangalore, has given an overview of his excellence experience. And also Dr. Alfred J. Kalyanapu, the Associate Professor from Tennessee Technological University, United States of America. They were all eminent speakers. And again, on behalf of all the audience participants, thank you very much, sir. And today we have the chief guest, Dr. N.V. Ramana Rao, the Director of NIT Warangal. He has been with us lots of programs and he visited NIT, our MBITS Engineering College campus, as well as he has been with the Institution of Engineers, Ernakulam Division. He visited twice. And again, thank you very much for being with us. And again, also jointly associating with the program. Sir, thank you very much, Dr. N.V. Ramana Rao, sir. And also Engineer N.N.S.S. Rao, sir. In spite of his very busy schedule, we know that you are very busy in your office. And again, you joined us, you shared your lots, more than 30 years of experience. Thank you very much from this, all these participants on behalf of this MBITS Engineering College and ASAP all together. And our heads of departments, all the heads of department, particularly Professor Shani Varghese, head of the department, and Manchu Jor, who was here for all the days, and other members of the panel, IT support, press media, and again, Barla sir, she was very inspirational. We originally started with this program with the 47, 48 people, that is which we have zoomed into this, and we are again doing lots of program for the coming weeks also. Just to give the outline, next week we have professional development of women engineers in post-COVID area. That again, all the participants are going to get the details. And also we have OBE, outcome-based education. These are the two FDPs which is planned for the next 2 weeks. Yeah, we will give you the more details by communications with you. And also the next month we have how to turn engineers to entrepreneurs. That is in association with the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, ISSRO, Indian Space Research Organization, Trivandrum. They are the joint partners with us. And also we can see that lots of heads of department, professors, students, engineers, all join. And also some of them are principals, as well as research scholars, site engineers, students, lot in numbers, representing almost all the parts of India, as well as various other abroad countries also. Thank you very much for all of us for joining on this day. And this is really a wonderful session for all of this. And we will come back to you with more insightful and very much in looking forward. And again, we are requesting this webinar.mbits.edu in will give you lots of opportunities and all. And again, some people have not received the feedback. That's what they are mentioned that. So it doesn't matter that we kindly fill up the sheets for today. Definitely the certificates will be given for all of you, even if you are attended one day, because some technical issues. And again, there was today, I believe that there was slight delay in this communication was there due to technical difficulties. But anyway, thank you so much for all of you being with us continuously. And once again, thank you very much for all. We are all grateful for your participation. To all the panel members, attendees, our support teams, IT support, Eldos Varghese, Tingu, Jimson, all of you. We have done a very good work. So again, certificate preparations, our team was worked. So we are all grateful for you. So we are closing down. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.